for this topic of renew, reuse, and recycle, the setting could not have been better than where we are. The Lake Palace and all this heritage which surrounds us in the city of Udaipur. Heritage in India is spread across, and I think we can have a little acropolis in every corner of the cities. But the problem which I see is that we as Indians don't really honor or respect the heritage so much. A lot of monuments are dilapidated and not really reused and used in a way that we should use them. So one of the projects which I'm presenting here is Gwalior Railway Central Station. This is an international design competition which we won. So at the heart of the station is the existing station, which is the Gwalior Central Station. And the design brief did not want us to retain this because it's not a grade listed building. But for us, being a heritage building, it was built in 1906. We did not want to demolish it because whatever little heritage we have left, we did not want to just create a tabula rasa and start creating something new for the Indian people. So these are some of the images. So right now it's not in a very good condition. The existing materials have faded out. On the right, you can see they have done some new coloring on the facade also. They're using white and red colors, which is not the original colors. And yeah, the condition is not so good, let's say, for such a beautiful structure, which is in the heart of the city. One beautiful thing about the existing station is it's really at the intersection of the historic city and the new city. So for us, being a station complex is not just a built form, but it's also something to connect the city. It's a space for the city itself. So we saw the entire project as a connection by creating a fusion of architecture between the new and the old. This is the existing station, the existing building which is there. So the station is built in two different phases. The central one was built in 1906, and the other ones were 1980, the left and the right wings. Now, as I said, the design brief did not want us to retain this, but for us, we really wanted to look at the existing architecture and retain and echo what was there on the site. So for us, it was very interesting to create an adaptive reuse building. So for us, the new has to echo the past, and it should actually highlight the past. So what you see on the top image is these arches, which are highlighting the existing building. So it was echoing the past and the heritage of the city of Udaipur. Now the idea for us came from these beautiful arches which are existing in the existing station complex. So we took these two-dimensional arches and transformed them into a three-dimensional system. Now of course as architects we have to also cater to the requirements of the client, the project brief, and it's a running station, so it's not a greenfield project, but we have to construct the station when the tracks are operational. So for this reason, when we create this three-dimensional module, domical arch, let's say, the good thing for us, it was not just architectural, but structural also in nature. The largest span in the station is 32 meters. So with this one module, we are managing to get this 32-meter free spanning. And then with this particular system, we're doing micro-piling on the site when the trains are running on the tracks. Of course, we have to close one track at a time and then carry on to the other ones. And it's an amalgamation of architecture, form, structure, MEP, and facade. So creating this one module, which has been dispersed on the entire site based on the different requirements of program and the site itself, we come up with this. So the design which we wanted to start with, the design brief which we set for ourselves, was to really echo the past. So this is where this renew also comes into place. So the existing station building is now being used as a museum, because this was not sufficient for the traffic and the footfall for Gwalior station. And the wings which you see on the back side, there's a arrival concourse, and then we have a departure concourse. And behind this are the platforms. Now being in theme with the entire complex, so it's 130 acres property, which we're developing. The station is where we're using the air rides. So we're using the air rides above the platform, and then it's a TOD development. So for this, we have a lot of this mixed use areas based on the location and the sellable price points which we came up with. These are just the entire site and the buildable areas. So the red is the air ride zone. So the interesting thing is because we have the FSI which we can load on top of the platforms itself. So this is where the shading and the concourse also happens. These are just some of the movement diagrams. So the site itself is very tight. because it's in this part of this old and new city. So it was also very tricky to see how to set this vehicular traffic and pedestrian traffic in place. And also, interestingly, we have a bridge which connects the two from inside the station. So if you're coming from the old part of the city, you can actually go through the station and go to the new city. Right now, there's a big disjunction between the two. So it's not just a station project, but it's also a property which belongs to the city. So this is the overall master plan. Now coming to the plans itself. So what we see is a very large spanning system, which we got from this domical three-dimensional system, where we're getting the average span is around 25 meters to 32 meters. And if you see closely, this is the largest span which we are getting. So with this system, we managed to do it. And I can say that it's doable because the tenders are also out. So structurally, what we proposed in the concept is actually being constructed. So as a design brief, we had a arrival concourse and a departure concourse. The central part of the entire station, we have given it as a public plaza. Right now, there's a lot of parking happening there, so the parking has been shifted to the sides. And the entire area, which is adjacent to the heritage building and the two wings next to it, this is all like a public space. So it's just drop off and you exit. And also the two wings, which are coming out from the new proposal, they actually are done in a way to highlight the existing. So everything which we did in this project was to really highlight what is there, to respect the heritage of our Indian cities, and to just move on from there. So this was the final design proposal which is being executed also. Along with creating this new build form, we're also treating the existing station. So the wings on the left and the right, which had this horrible white and red paint, they've also been they are being redone as per the specifications of what they were built when they were built. So moving on, when we go inside, we also have integrated these jali patterns on the roof. Being this large span systems, we don't want to have these areas where there's no light coming inside the station. So the idea is that you have this filtered light quality, which also goes in sync with the city of Gwalior and the beautiful patterns and the jalis which are there, like we also see in these palaces. So this is this light, play of light and shadow which happens in the station throughout the day. So you have this huge cantilever systems with the integration of facade. And for us, this light was really beautiful because it really is a very subtle way of expressing our heritage. Because when you're walking, you see it on the roof or maybe not. But when you're walking, you'll really express the patterns and you'll feel the patterns on the flooring. So this is one of the views from the platform itself, which is this large span structure. And the materiality is contemporary because of also weight and constructability issues. So we have GRC and GRG, which we're using in the entire station complex. Then on the air ride, so which you see on the upper part, so this is the entrance from the old city, and this is from the new city. So we have two different drop-offs which are there, and this becomes a concourse which connects everything to each other. And the central part becomes this open space. So the public space is not just on the outside of the station, but also on the inside. Some circulation diagrams. So this is the overall structural system which we're going for. It's a steel system. It's a lightweight deck system which we're using, along with micropiling, and then we are erecting the columns on top, the steel columns. So also, by doing this thing, what I found beautiful was also the patterns which we got in the roofs, let's say. Usually we don't see roof of a building, but in this case, because we have so much development happening around the station, and station is, these buildings around the station are around 80 meters. So this roof of the station will be very clearly visible. So we're not just designing the horizontal part or the facade, but we're also designing the roof of the station project. have some time, okay, 1 more minute left. If I'm running over time, please stop me then. So this next project is around 20 minutes from where we are right now. It's a resort project in Udaipur, close to the Kumbhalgarh Fort. So here the idea for us was it's a resort, which the client required only some villas, around 150 square meter each. And the existing site is inclined. So the idea for us was to create something which is really nested inside the earth. It's a very closed circuit project where everything which we are getting for the project is from within 2 kilometers of the site. So to create a system which combines the entire site into one, we use this hexagonal pattern, primary and secondary. And then we started cutting out these villas from the property itself. So everything is inside the earth. Because Udaipur is so hot, we wanted to also make sure that it's, we're not cooling down, we don't have to cool down things too much. So using the earth itself to cool down the spaces. And then we have a little jali which comes on top. Another strategy here was the shallow water bodies. So using the wind direction, we have a little water bodies in the center of the property, which when they move, they go inside the villas. So we get some cooled air going inside these villas which we have. I think there are 8 or 9 of them. And then we have this little jali pattern on top. So the idea was to really reflect the architecture of Udaipur and reuse, and so everything which is excavated is reused on the site. And also the walls are made of local rocks, which are from the quarries. So the idea was not to create anything which is excessive, but to use anything and everything which we have in the surroundings of the project and create the project. So for me, it's a project without a form, because we did not really want to create something which is informal in nature, but it was more of experiences. And using CFD, we also tried to ensure that there's enough purging of the hot air within these villas. So this is just the analysis of the inclination of the pergolas which we have on the outdoor space. And this is the view which you have. So once you're inside your villa, this is what you see. You see these beautiful mountains which are surrounding the property. And you have your own sun bench and you have a pool there. And then the central area becomes a gathering space for all the performances of, from the city of Udaipur, like we saw also yesterday evening in the hotel. And that's about it. I hope I finished in 10 minutes. Thank you.